That's right. For this week's main topic, we just got back from our first ever Disney Vacation Club member cruise, and we're here to recap at least a portion of it, if not the entire thing. We'll kind of see how it goes, right, Michelle?
Yes, because there is a lot to cover. I mean, all the rumors that you heard about these cruises is true. There's a lot to do, a lot to bring home, and we're looking forward to sharing that with you.
Yeah, there's a lot to discuss. It was only 5 nights. That might benefit us here. However, we are very long-winded, as you well know. And so we might get to a point where we kind of make a decision on whether we're going to make this a two-parter or whether we are going to go ahead and just do it all in one lump sum here. The main thing is we don't want to make this into a big 3-hour giant thing. So we'll see how it goes. But let's go ahead and get this started so we can go through as much as possible. And we'll start right there on day one, where we went ahead and met our beautiful ship, the Disney Dream, that was in Port Everglades. So that was Fort Lauderdale. And fantastic. Of course, the Disney Dream is a beautiful ship, as it always is. We got to port, and the first thing we need to do, because we know there's a lot going on that's not on a normal cruise, was check out the schedule for this member cruise, right, Michelle?
Yes, and as soon as you can, it's just so exciting. Your vacation has started when you get on in the port, and you can actually get on the app, the Disney Cruise Line app, and start seeing the things that are being planned.
So we shared a bunch of stuff on social media. You may have seen some of the key panels. It wasn't all of them. There were so many awesome things that were ahead in store for us on this Disney cruise. Got on board, decent time, 11:30-ish, 12 o'clock, somewhere around that time. Got on board, had our lunch, opened cabanas. Then they handed out these lanyards with these booklets on board, and we just started leafing through them. It was a schedule of events, which we'd already looked at a little bit, but there at the back side of it, one thing that we noticed was there was a special kind of scavenger hunt with La Cava del Tequila kind of sponsoring this thing. And okay, it wasn't free, but if you think about maybe some of the festivals at Epcot where you do Emil's fromage montage or the cookie stroll or etc., where you go along and you buy one of these items and you get a stamp, and then at the end you get a gift. Well, that was aboard the ship, only it was with La Cava del Tequila drinks.
Right. It was pretty exciting because you had a selection. I think there was like 6 different ones, and you just really needed 4 stamps. You could get multiples of the same drink if you really ended up liking a particular one. But it was really a fun, festive way to start the cruise. Very different than other cruises. And naturally, we had to kind of, lean in right away.
Yeah, Michelle did not hesitate. We went, because we always get, when we first get on board, we get a cocktail. I went and got my standard Captain's Mai Tai. It's kind of very festive for me and feels like I'm on vacation. Michelle stepped into the Cove Cafe and got a drink that was a kind of an espresso, almost an espresso martini, but with tequila mixed in with delicious drink. We had it a couple times. Fantastic. And yes, we did complete our scavenger hunt. And for those of you who are watching us on YouTube, you can see the gift that we both got. We both did successful. Not that we like to drink a lot or anything, but it's this La Cava del Tequila hat, which is really, really nice and a great gift to come along with it.
Right. And I was really fortunate with my timing when I went into the Cove Cafe that the group, or the majority of the group from La Cava, was there, and got to meet a lot of them and talk to them. They were so fun, full of life. And it was really, really enjoyable to be in that atmosphere with those people. And we were all getting obviously the same cocktail at that moment. And it was really fun.
Yeah. And Michelle did connect with them a little bit. And we don't know if anything's going to come of it, but we did put out some feelers in case La Cava wants to kind of come on board here with the Hyperion Adventures podcast or the Disney Dishes, anything, whatever. We would be happy to have them on board.
Right. A shout out to Umberto. It's so interesting to me on cruises when you can actually run into somebody multiple times. And this is not the first cruise that's ever happened to us, but it was fun to be able to run into him, and that we remembered each other from day one. So it was cool.
Yeah. So we had our drinks on board, and then our room was ready. So we wanted to go out and check out our room. We had an ocean view room. So not a balcony this time, just a big, beautiful window. great cabin. We were very thrilled with it. There's a lot of extra space in there from what they would normally take away for a balcony. So we were able to store a lot of our stuff and have no problem store all our gifts that we received. Speaking of that, we did, as soon as we get to our cabin, receive our first gift. And you may have seen our little kind of unboxing. We never took it out of the box, but kind of unboxing video for that gift. It was a big beach bag, almost like a faux leather type beach bag that was themed to the member cruise, which was themed all around cocoa. And it had a cocoa corksicle water bottle in there, and it had a detachable part inside of it. It also had some Lorcana cards in there as well. Really nice, good gift to start off with, Michelle.
Yeah, really quality material in everything that was in there. So it wasn't just like, oh, here's like a very flimsy bag or shopping bag or something. This was really nice, sturdy. And like you said, that insert that came out was a plastic zippered area that you could put wet things in there if you needed to as well.
And you could take the strap off and connect it to it. And you can use just that if you wanted like a little, almost like a purse, a side bags, take them along with you. So really, really handy. And the big bag would come in handy for us, believe me, as we go through these gifts that you'll be hearing about. Now, we did start off with sort of something different for a Disney Dream cruise, but not that different, because once we got settled in our room, we did our muster drill and everything else. We did, of course, do the sail away party. Very traditional, not much different about that, but always fantastic and always brings tears to our eyes when they do the countdown. You're on vacation, they blow the ship horn. Fantastic. Then our show for the night. Normally on the opening night, they don't have one of the special shows. The special show is like, Seize the Adventure, or it's Golden Mickey's or something like that. Just kind of get you broken in tonight. But for our show that night, we went ahead and had Beauty and the Beast, Disney's Beauty and the Beast, which is one of the best shows on any Disney cruise ship. And we were very excited to see that. And the cast was amazing, as they always are.
Right. Yeah. This was kind of the signature show for the Disney Dream. And I know we've talked about it in the past. It's spectacular. And it was quite a wonderful way to start the cruise with something so big and so incredibly entertaining.
And the cast was phenomenal, as they've been recently. I can't say enough about the casting they've been doing on these Disney Cruise Line ships. Amazing performers, amazing performance. And it was so good to have that, because we didn't know we were going to get that, because they have a lot of specialty shows at night. We weren't sure we were going to get any of the traditional stuff. The fact that they put out their big signature show for this was really, really excellent start. Went to dinner after that. We had late seating for dinner, and noticed right away that they had a little bit of change. Oh, they said, I got my slides out of order here for those of you on YouTube. Those are some of the cocktails from La Cava del Tequila. Yeah. Anyway, there we go. So they had these special menus, and some of them were pretty much, I'm almost certain they were virtually the same that you would get, but they would at least, I'm not sure if they were new items or they've these renamed items specifically for the sailing, based on something involved during what was going on during that day or on the cruise.
Right. And what was really nice, and you can see here if you're watching on YouTube, the actual menu that you got to look at, did highlight the member cruise, the DVC member cruise, and saying, let the magic begin. But that was a collectible menu then that you could take. And it was really nice. It wasn't just paper. It was really nice quality paper. And it was fun. We thought, oh, well, this is a nice keepsake. But we found out during the cruise that every night the different menus were keepsakes.
Yes. And we got to keep, we did. They wouldn't even take them back from us. They just like, go ahead, those are your souvenirs. So we do have all the menus. If anybody out there who covers Disney Cruise Line, Chris at DCL Cruising Dad, Disney Cruise Line blog, if you want some of these menus, we'll be happy to take pictures of them and send them to you. Anyway, every night there was at least one specialty item, and we'll talk about in another night where the entire menu was specialized to that evening affair. So great dinner, fantastic dinner. We were at Royal Palace that night. That was a lot of fun. Then after dinner, we had to make a decision, because there were a couple things we could go to at the same time. Now, a lot of these panels they had running at 2 different times, because sometimes they would either overlap or they were running concurrently. So for virtually every panel, they gave you other opportunities to see them throughout the day, usually 2 times. For this one, we had 2 choices. We could either see the Battle of the Member Cruise Stars, which is in the D Lounge, which we heard great things about, but obviously the fact that we heard great things about, we did not actually go into that. Instead, we had something that seemed like it would fit more into what we do. It was cocktails and conversation. If you know us, we love cocktails. And you've heard us, we talk at length, so we love conversation. So that was over in the Evolution Lounge, and we decided to go in and check that out. And that was really fun. We went in there, and the first thing they would do, it was basically kind of, as a lot of the cruise was, sponsored a lot by La Cava del Tequila. And they had Gustavo, who was one of the, I don't know the exact term for him. I'm just going to call him a mixologist, essentially, for La Cava del Tequila. And he was there with our host, Tim O'Day, author historian Tim O'Day. And they talked about some of the drinks. They had the avocado margarita on board, everybody. Yes. They talked about that. And then they welcomed aboard a couple guests for a nice discussion. For this first night, it was Becky Klein, who is head of the Disney Archives, and Roy P. Disney, who is the son of Roy E. Disney and the grandson of Roy O. Disney. And he was aboard the ship as well.
Right. I mean, what was nice about this, it's kind of an intimate setting because it is a lounge. It's for people 18 and older, was a restriction. And when Tom talked about the avocado margarita, yes. And as we mentioned, it was a scavenger hunt. So they didn't have all of the various margaritas in each of the lounges. You had to go to the specific lounge if you wanted to try a particular one. And that one is definitely a favorite among us and a lot of other people. The other fun way they did this is, yes, Tim O'Day was the moderator, but he was not aware of who he was going to be interviewing until it started, when when Gustavo actually handed him the card that had the names of the people he was interviewing. So it was kind of a fun way to, have an impromptu sort of interview, and it really made it fun and special. And Tim O'Day is just amazing. Anyways, he brings a lot of fun and joy to anything he works on and does. But he also really, I think, did well to highlight Becky and Roy on what they were talking about.
And Tim O'Day was continuously a host in many of the panels we saw, and he was always entertaining, fun, interesting. He is an author, historian, as I mentioned before. And Michelle made a little connection with him too. So we'll see what happens if anything comes of that. But that's a story for later. We'll see how that goes. But anyways, a really nice way to cap off the first evening that had been very busy. We'd been traveling all the way from the central Florida down to southern Florida and had a lot of things going on, got on board. When we first got on board, I'm like, I'm probably not going to do anything tonight. I'm going to be exhausted. We were up early. We were moving everything. When we saw these panels going on, I'm like, well, I guess we're going to have to tough it out and go do some stuff at night. And we did, and really had a great time. We did get a second gift that night for turn down. They were just kind of some little magnets, but basically they were magnets of kind of a travel poster that were being created especially for those cruises. We would get those magnets regularly throughout the cruise until we actually received all 3 of those posters, those prints, later on in the sailing.
Yeah. So, and in addition to that, if you've been on any Disney cruises before, you've probably aware of that DVC does have member gifts every day, a different member gift. For this cruise, they made sure they, as they said, they locked up their normal gifts, and everything was different for this cruise. But again, they continued with the tradition of each day, as a member, you could get a new gift, a different little gift.
Right, but none of your special lip balm this time.
I know, that was the one thing. Yes.
But yeah, for the regular visit to the member desk gifts, we got it was like a fan, like one of those folding fans that you can kind of fan yourself. We received a swimming hat, which is, I think, my favorite gift that we received out of those. We received some luggage tags. What else did we receive? It seemed like there was something else that we got. Blanking on it right now.
Right,
but there was some playing cards.
Oh yeah, playing cards, but in a wooden box. Yes.
Really great. They were all amazing gifts.
And all themed with the DVC member cruise logo on them.
Yeah, specialty gifts that you could get for this and, not any place else. So that was really happy. We did put those into play later on those hats to play later in Castaway Key. So that was it. Called it a day. Went to day 2 because we knew it was going to be very, very busy. Like day 2 is a crazy day for us out there on this ship, and started really, really early. First of all and foremost, this was 80s and 90s day. So basically everything we did that day, as far as panels and everything involved, was celebrating 80s and 90s in some way, shape, or form. And man, you couldn't have hit anything better for us because we love the 80s and we love the 90s. And it was such a fun day.
Yeah, and there was a variety of things that people could do. We obviously couldn't do all of them, but between entertainment, trivia, shows, all kinds of activities. It was just jam packed. That was the day. It was a sea day, and they made sure they had a lot of things for everybody to do related to the 80s and 90s, and and it was featuring a lot of the celebrities that you would think were that are associated with the 80s and 90s.
Yep. And we did receive our second gift. We received a gift every morning, and then those magnets and the prints lit night. But the second gift was everything was themed to that. Almost everything was themed to that bag. So it was a holder that contained a neck fan, which, man, if you've been in Florida recently, man, a neck fan comes in handy. And so we got this neck fan that you could plug in and it would be ready to go for you to cool you off during the day. We also, for 80s, 90s nights, received some neon headband and wristbands that we could have decided to put on if we wanted to. And a lot of people did during the cruise. So that was a nice treat to kind of help. It's kind of, think of it as like pirate night. When you go do pirate night on the ship, they always give you those little bandanas that if you have nothing else pirate, you can at least put those on and get in with the fun. If you had nothing else 80s and 90s, you could have put these on and been ready to go for the party.
Right. Yeah. And, it was really fun that all day you were encouraged to wear things that were from 80s and 90s. And actually, Disney Vacation Club sent emails out a few weeks ahead of the cruise, letting people know that that was going to be a theme and that they encouraged people to, enjoy the festivities if they wanted to dress up and things like that with that theming.
And we did dress up, and we'll show you that picture for those of you watching on YouTube. In a little bit, you'll be able to see what that looked like later on. But first, even though it was 80s, 90s day, we had to do something traditional Disney, and we had a Palo brunch schedule. Now, there were lots of panels that day. We weren't even sure we were going to get this in. Now, because we're platinum cruisers, we get a Palo brunch complimentary outside of the tip that you want to add on to it. We get that, part of it, or a dinner.
Right. Yeah. One Palo meal.
Whatever. Yes. Complimentary up to a monetary value. So we wanted to take advantage of that. We were able to schedule an early brunch, which was great because we were able to work it out. However, there were panels we wanted to go to. So we kind of raced through it, but we still got a chance to enjoy all those Palo things we love, including the eggplant rollatini that Michelle loves, the chicken parm, which is one of the best things in the world to me. A nice glass of Prosecco, and just had a great time with that. But then we had to rush to our first panel after that. So with full stomachs, we ran out to our first panel, which was the making of a Goofy movie. Yes, right into the 90s, 80s, 90s theme, making of a Goofy movie. And we were joined for that with Disney legend Bill Farmer, of course, who's the voice of Goofy in that movie. Jason Marsden, who, of course, plays Max in that movie, and the director of the film, Kevin Lehman. It was his first ever, not just Disney member cruise, his first ever Disney cruise. And it was all hosted by Brett Iwan, of course, the great artist and voice of Mickey Mouse. And what a great panel that was, Michelle.
Yeah, it was just phenomenal to see the legends from this great movie, the one that, as they talked about, didn't necessarily have big accolades when it first opened, but it has such a strong following now, and people still love that movie. And it's celebrating its 30th anniversary. So it was cool to have these people and get some behind the scenes information about that film.
Yes. We got lots of little tidbits about it, lots about how it's produced. Some of it you can see. There's a documentary out there that you should check out if you haven't seen it yet. Was it Not Just a Goof or something like that is what it's called. You can find it on Disney Plus. Definitely check it out. And they showed some scenes from it. All the people on stage got very emotional at some of these stages, and we got
everybody in the audience,
as well. especially at the end. And I mean, I don't think this is going to happen again. So if this is, spoiler alert. If not, they got up. Bill Farmer and Jason Marsden, so Goofy and Max, got up and sang their famous song near the end of the movie. Acted out the moment before it and sang their song.
Nobody else but you.
That's right. It was amazing, and I'm telling you, I was a mess when they were singing that song. They did a fantastic job for it. We saw the second showing, so they kind of, I guess, from what we'd heard from Bill Farmer, he didn't know they were going to be singing, so it was kind of caught him off guard. I would have loved to see the first showing of it to see how that turned out, but the second, when they knew it, it was perfect. It could have come right out of the movie. And Jason Marsden said he didn't even sing in the film, so but you wouldn't have known it from hearing this portion of it.
Right. I think the takeaway that was really amazing by this is the love all of them have for each other. You could tell it was really it's a family film. It's about family, and they brought that themselves together as that team of doing it. And then when singing that song, you can tell it was really evident that doing that movie and doing that song especially was very much a part of them. It was very important to them, and it was great to see that it wasn't simply people singing. It was people who were feeling and loving what this was.
It was one of my favorite panels from the entire cruise. It arguably might have been my favorite, but either way, it was amazing, fantastic, and it was a heck of a way to get this thing started as we start going through our many panels on board the ship that we were able to check out. By the way, the cruise had only 2 stops and 2 sea days, so it was perfect to kind of fit some things in and also get some time to enjoy either the ship or some port adventures as well.
Right. Should we share one of the things that they told us behind the scene that was pretty?
Go ahead. I know what you're thinking of, so I want to hear it.
That Bill Farmer, who had been the voice of Goofy, this wasn't his first time with that role, but he was not originally being considered for casting as the voice of Goofy for this film. They were.
I think he was originally. Then they kind of just thought about going a different direction with it.
They wanted to do somebody like have a famous, movie star associated with the film, and so he wasn't positive he was going to get the job.
Yeah, it nearly went to Steve Martin of all
I know.
people. They talked about having Steve Martin come in and do it. Could you imagine Steve Martin playing Goofy? No. Bill Farmer is Goofy, or at least the current version of Goofy, and has been for many years. I think they said he's the longest run of anybody who's ever played Goofy.
Right.
And again, spectacular.
Yes.
Amazing. So what a great panel. And then we follow that up with another great panel. Of course, 80s, 90s themes. We went and saw, it was Tales of a Director with another Disney legend, Ron Clements, who may know from doing many of your favorite films from the 80s, from the 90s, and beyond. Of course, movies like The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, The Princess and the Frog, Moana. I mean, could you have had a bigger name? I mean, he did them a lot with John Musker. He teamed up. Right. Usually they're a team, but it was only him on board. But man, what a special moment that was as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you're watching here on YouTube, you can see the picture. Tim O'Day was the moderator, but we really, again, a lot of behind the scenes of how did they come up with the concept of The Little Mermaid and making that like when they changed the story, the ending of The Little Mermaid, and when they first went to show that in the birthplace of Hans Christian Andersen, who wrote the original story, and there was, with the press and everything, some hubbub about, oh man, he changed the story, the traditional story. But then the queen said, the actual real queen said, no, that's all right. Hans Christian Andersen didn't know how to end a story anyways, and she loved the film.
Yeah, apparently there was a lot of grumbling in and around Copenhagen because, the original story of The Little Mermaid is a bit of a tragic story, okay? But when Ron Clements pitched it to Disney, he Disney-fied it, essentially, right, giving it a happy ending, and it was like, oh, you changed this classic story. But when the queen says it's okay, Hey, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it was an amazing panel. He's fantastic, fabulous. Love him so much. And by the way, I'm going to say this about Ron Clements. He was a gamer on board this. He was at everything. He was not afraid to dress up. He was not afraid to get out there and have some fun. For a Disney legend to be out, I mean, and a lot of these people we saw on board were doing the same thing, but it was just amazing. Like everywhere I looked, there was Ron Clements at this, there was Ron Clements at that. It was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, it was great to see, and I think that's what also made this cruise very special and unique, is that the talent that they brought on was right there with the guests. They mingled with the guests. They weren't like off in some, area that was just for the talent. They actually stood in line with everybody else to go see different panels and presentations. And it was just really fun. You could be or dancing. You could be dancing and suddenly turn around and there's hello, Ariel.
We'll get to that in a moment. We'll get to that in just a moment here. But yeah, there was a lot of that going on. Like we were seeing, like speaking of that, we were watching the making of a Goofy movie, and there's Ron Clements in the audience watching them talking about making of a Goofy movie. We were seeing Beauty and the Beast the night before. There's Susan Egan, the first Belle on Broadway, watching Beauty and the Beast.
Right.
This was going on continuously throughout it. We were watching this one with Ron Clements. There's Floyd Norman, Disney legend animator from back in Walt's time.
Right.
They are watching Ron Clements. It was amazing that these things were kind of cross-pollinating throughout, and it made it that much more special.
Right.
So the next thing we went to, the next panel we decided to go, this was 80s, 90s themed. Okay. They called it artists inspired by the 80s and 90s. And sure, I'm sure they were. But it was a kind of a fun panel where they had Brett Iwan, who's, of course, as we mentioned, yes, he's the voice of Mickey Mouse, but he's also a very great artist. He's the only person to both voice and draw Mickey Mouse aside from
Walt Disney.
Yes, that's right. Also was Stacia Martin, who's a historian and an artist. We've been on board cruises with her. You may have as well if you've been on board some of the specialty Disney cruisers. She likes to show up and do talks and create her art in there as well. And we also had Eric Tan on, who does a lot, more especially more recently, a lot of the Epcot posters, a lot of the Walt Disney World posters that you see, that they're out for, the advertisement of the different attractions and so forth. And you kind of spoil a little something that we're not going to get into here about, maybe having something to do with the happiest place on earth, but we won't really talk about that. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. They were talking, getting asked questions by the hosts that were there that day. They were also taking guest questions that were audience questions as well. And then they had raffle tickets for everybody that was on board there. And they were giving away some of the works of arts that they were creating there, or they had created before the panel began. Were we successful getting anything, Michelle?
Well, drum roll. Yes.
We did. Well,
you did.
Well,
you had a winning ticket.
I was lucky enough to get a winning ticket, and it's a pretty large size poster of the Land Pavilion at Epcot, which we were very excited. I was very excited to get anything because there were some amazing things there. And I was very excited to win that. As a matter of fact, I'm like staring at my ticket without my glasses on. I'm like, I hope I got it right. I'm like walking out. I hope I got it right. Yep, it was the right winning ticket. So yes, we did win that. Lots of people won amazing things, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great. And like you mentioned, they were taking questions, and it was kind of very informal, but it brought the guests into this presentation. So that was cool.
So another great panel, day filled with great panels. And then it was time to head to the nighttime show. And yes, 80s, 90s. So this was 80s, 90s, a celebration of it in concert, which is it was a fantastic show focusing on the music from the movies and television from those decades. And yes, they even did hit a montage of Disney afternoons for you Disney afternoons fans.
Yeah, it was great how they really, encapsulated all the things that came out in the 80s and 90s or were themed to the 80s and 90s. And so fun, so entertaining, just being in the audience. And again, bringing tears to our eyes. No surprise there.
Right. And we had some amazing performers that took part in this, including, we already mentioned her, Susan Egan, the first Belle on Broadway. She also played, of course, Meg in Hercules.
Hercules.
Nasha Thomas, who has been on Broadway in Ain't Too Proud to Beg, and she's been in 6. Alyssa Guzman, who was in Aladdin and Wicked, among other things. Adam Levy, who's been in Moulin Rouge and Waitress. Bradley Gibson, who's been in The Lion King, and he played Hercules in a presentation of that. And it was all coordinated by Benjamin Rahula, who is a musical director for, you may have seen it or may have heard of it, the Disney Princess Party, but has also done things like Fiddler on the Roof. He's also very closely associated with Ariana DeBose. Matter of fact, he helped coordinate her opening and closing numbers on the 2022 Tony Awards, where she hosted as well. So they were all there, and they ran through a bunch of songs and moments from that night. And I believe that this is going to be something that is going to be regularly making the round, just like the Disney Princess Party has in the past. It's looking like this is going to be something that may be coming to your city soon.
Right. You can go online. I guess we can put it in the show notes, a link to the site, because there are some shows that are already coming up that they're selling tickets to. Excuse me, that they're selling tickets to. That is something that you can, like Tom said, you can maybe catch it in your city or city near you. If you have that opportunity, it's a phenomenal show.
And they were doing a lot of filming during several of these performances, by the way. We had cameras all over the place. Don't know if that's for something else or if that's just for promotional footage or whatever. And they were also interviewing people afterwards, getting their impressions of it. And we did get in line for that. We were way at the back of the line, didn't quite make it up there. Did get a little pin just for waiting around for that long. But it was a spectacular. It was one of my favorite things. Again, they're playing it in a cruise full of favorite things. That show was amazing because it struck right at the chord of our 80s, 90s hearts.
Right. It was sponsored by Disney Plus. So this might be something that down the road you might also be able to see on Disney Plus, but they're the ones promoting this show going across the country.
Yep. So it was excellent. And on our way out, we happened to run into one Ashley Eckstein and her husband, David Eckstein, who, if you don't know, was a great Major League Baseball player for many years. We were able to connect with both of them. One, him because of baseball, was able to talk my baseball fandom with him. Talk with Ashley because we just love her to death. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see the picture here. That was Ashley taking that selfie because apparently she's amazing at it. And from that picture, you can see she is amazing at it. I don't think I've ever taken a selfie that good.
Right.
So thanks to her and David for that.
Yeah. And it's, we talked about how, accessible a lot of these stars were. And, I know also a lot of people we've heard in the past talk about Ashley being so warm, and we can confirm that is true. And like Tom mentioned, she took the selfie with Tom's phone. She's like, oh, here, give me the phone. I'm good at this.
Yeah.
And she is good at this. But again, I mean, who else, where else could you experience something like this where the talent is right there among you and willing to actually go that extra step to make your time special?
And she even took the time. She was having to get to a rehearsal because she was hosting the deck party that night, right, which we'll get to in a moment. So she took the time to talk with us for a little bit and then still get off to that deck party.
Right.
So very, very kind of her for doing that time. And we gave out many business cards. We wanted to give them a business card. It just wasn't the right opportunity there. But hopefully, hey, Ashley, David, if you're watching, listening, we'd love to have you on board. Yeah. Anyway, so then we went to dinner that night, and this was the specialty menu we were talking about. It was all 80s, 90s themed. Every single thing on the menu had references to Disney movies or television shows or attraction. There was like a drink called the Maelstrom, from the closed, of course, Norway, pavilion attraction. Right. There was there was a jerk chicken menu offering that was a Frollo's a jerk chicken. There was a crab cake appetizer that was Gaston's crab cake. It didn't make a lot of sense, but they're like, you didn't think we named it after Sebastian? That would be really mean, wouldn't it? It was hilarious. I mean, maybe we'll post some pictures of that menu because it was I mean, I can't even think of all the stuff that's on it, but it was
Right.
fun and fantastic. And so happy we have a copy of that menu.
Yeah, I mean, from the appetizers, entrees, and desserts, they all had funny titles to them and little descriptions about why they linked it with one of the Disney films or Disney Channel shows or whatever. It was hilarious. It was well thought through for
Right.
sure.
So from there, we had to get up and rush up to get on deck because it was time for the dancing on deck to the 80s, 90s deck party, which was phenomenal. We had so much fun on that. There we are. For those of you on YouTube, you better watch on YouTube because there we are in our 80s, 90s best out there. You look great, Michelle.
Man, you look great.
Yeah. We were so much fun out there on deck. We just had a blast out there. It was hosted, yes, as I mentioned already, by Ashley Eckstein and Nina West, who you might not be surprised at that. They is actually she's a drag queen. Normally didn't dress in drag for this, but you may know from RuPaul's Drag Race, among other things. But they were both fantastic hosts. Sasha B, the DJ, putting out the tunes, and we were just having a great time on deck. Especially great when we realized we were getting free Black Magic margaritas on deck. Neil Patrick Harris even came on the screen and said hello to us and said, "Hey." I don't think he really did, but he said, "Hey, I'm flipping the bill for you to have some of his concoction, the free Black Magic margaritas that we had on deck."
Yeah, I mean, it was so festive, so fun. Ashley, I think she had like 3 different changes of her outfits. At one point, she did Mouser size with everybody out there. It was so cute, so fun, and everybody on deck was having such a blast. Every age, everybody was really getting into the party.
Speaking of having a blast on deck, you know who else was having a blast on deck? Well, it was one Jody Benson. Yes, Ariel herself out there dancing on deck. You can also, if you're watching this on YouTube, see some of the performers that night from the 80s, 90s party. They were out there dancing with Ashley and Nina and just having a good old time. Also, who appeared, I can't believe I crossed over this.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Who also appeared in that 80s, 90s party, Jody Benson in the show, the concert.
Right.
She showed up in the concert with her daughter, Delaney, was on there, and they sang the reprise to Part of Your World.
Yeah, it was a beautiful duo.
And then, well, Jody Benson had to go off script a little bit because she sang Part of Her World, as they mentioned, like 8 billion times. So she flipped the switch, flipped the script, and did
Poor Unfortunate Souls.
Poor Unfortunate Souls. Yes. I caught Michelle off guard.
I know. I thought you were about to say it. So
and brought the house down with singing Poor Unfortunate Souls. It was amazing.
She did great. Wow.
They also did during that concert a number where they did On the Open Road from a Goofy movie. And they brought out, of course, Bill Farmer and Jason Marsden, of course, Goofy and Max, to sing along with them. And many other people, including some of the other stars we're talking about here, to perform the various different, like if you watch that movie, there's different people in different cars on the road there. They have different people on there filling those roles as they went through it. It was so funny.
It was really, really amazing. And by the way, if you are planning to attend Destination D23 later this month, and there is also going to be an 80s and 90s party, but that show is also going to be there at that event. So
this is part of that 80s, 90s, in concert we saw. Now, we mentioned earlier that there are going to be 80s, 90s in concerts that we, going around. I can't promise you all those things are going to happen in those shows. I can promise you that some of these performers are, and they're going to do the 80s, 90s tunes, whether Jody Benson shows up or whether, Bill Farmer and Jason Marsden show up. Can't promise that, but it'll still be a great concert and you'll still love it. So also, it was all capped off, that deck party with some amazing fireworks. And yes, it was set to eye to eye. Well, I'm sorry, my video. There we go. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can see a bit of those fireworks set to eye. And it was an amazing fireworks show. Not a long fireworks show, but they never really are. on the Disney Cruise Line, but it was just another great way to kind of cap off the night.
Right. Especially like you said, that they included the music from Eye to Eye. So I don't think anybody missed that it wasn't pirate themed. I think everybody got into the 80s and 90s, and it was great having the fireworks to such an iconic song.
And we did go on dancing a little bit after
Right.
that. At some point, they cut it off, like, hey, we got to go to bed too. So they did cut it off. But we did enjoy our time there for sure. Doing that, and man, what a day!
Yeah.
The second
I
day of
know.
the cruise.
I know.
It's
Like
crazy.
looking at our time here,
Yeah.
it's like I'm not sure we're going to make this.
We'll see. We're doing okay so far. We're doing okay so far. So let's go ahead and move on to day 3. Luckily, we don't have a lot of Disney stories of the week, so we might be able to make through
All
this.
right.
But let's get to day 3. Day 3 was our stop at our one non-Disney location. It was Cozumel, Mexico. Kind of fit in with the Coco theme, or they fit the Coco theme to fit with that. And we'd been to Cozumel a lot, and we needed a day to relax. At first, we had booked some shore excursions, but we decided, no, you know what? Let's relax and enjoy some actual cruise stuff that we, weren't doing on these days when we're doing a lot of other things. So we took a day to relax and went up to Satellite Falls. But even at Satellite Falls, we had a little bit of this Disney Vacation member cruise going on, because we were able to meet with, or at least Michelle did, with our guest for that night. That's Camilo Lara, who was the Spanish musical consultant for the movie Coco.
Yeah, I mean, what an amazing person. I mean, he was the one that really did bring a lot of the research of what types of music and sounds for the film. He had a lot of other important roles. Like he said, his roles throughout the film continue to change and grow. But just what a warm, wonderful person. He just happened to be at Satellite Falls at the same time, and was so gracious to stop for a moment to pose for a photo. I was explaining to him that although Scott wasn't with us, that it's one of his favorite films, that he just loves listening to it and watching it. And he seemed pretty genuinely appreciative.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, he actually signed for our gift that day. Michelle's bringing it into the picture now. We received a Dante Alabrije plush, and he actually signed it. I don't know if that's the one that you have there.
Yes.
Yeah. Show it for the people on YouTube.
You
can see where he signed it. So that was really nice. But yeah, that was our gift for that day.
Yeah, it's adorable.
It is adorable. Very cute. So that was our gift of the day. So we did that. We enjoyed some time out on Satellite Falls, and then we actually did some trivia that day, which we had not been doing much trivia, which was enjoyable. Did a chocolate and liqueur tasting, which is one of our favorite tastings. Did that and just enjoyed our day. Everybody else eventually got on board. And then it was time for our show. As we just mentioned, it was all about the music of Coco. And he was one of the guests on board because he was, he talked a lot about how music, and especially the cultural music involved in Coco, helped shape this film and all the different pieces they brought on board. We received magnets as well as we went on site, and we were able to put names on there. They were marigolds, and put names of people you wanted to remember on there, and we could put them on your doorway. And so we're all over the doorways on decks with the people that everyone wanted to remember.
Right. I mean, and one of the other great things, that he talked about some of the behind the scenes of making of the film Coco, but he also had some musicians on board to help play some of the songs and music, and it just really demonstrated how rich the culture is, and that the different styles and the types of music, especially by different locations within Mexico that are more predominant, or their history is from them, really got to have a better appreciation for this film.
Yeah, so the musicians they brought on board were Sergio Mendoza, who is a Grammy-winning guitarist, and Alex Gonzalez, who is an amazing trumpeter and mariachi, who is also the person. Basically, there was a day, if you've listened to our kind of our making up or deep dive into Coco episode, we talked about how there was a time where they brought in all these musicians from Mexico so they can get a feel of the music and everything. And we experienced a little bit of that in this. He was the person that helped coordinate this, what they called the We Are the World of Mexico musicians, essentially. So they were on board. And then they also brought out somebody who we'll talk about in a little bit here as well, Rodney Ingram, who was who played Aladdin in the first Mexican touring cast of Aladdin, and he came out and sang "Remember Me" as well, which was fantastic as we're all
Yes.
holding up our marigold
Right.
magnets and
Yeah.
everything.
Oh, get me emotional already.
So it was a great show. Great show. Dinner that night. Moving on from that, we went to the Enchanted Garden again, specialty menu as well for that, as they all were. Not specialty for the entire thing, but specialty as far as one dish for everything.
Highlight.
Then we had the choice again of going that night to either Battle of the Member Cruise Stars in the D Lounge or Cocktails and Conversations. We had already heard that getting into the D Lounge, and we experienced this a little bit for ourselves when we went into the D Lounge for one of our panels, that it was really, really tough. As a matter of fact, they had spillover rooms into different lounges where you could watch on video what was going on in the D Lounge if you didn't make it in. Even though those looked amazing, we decided Cocktails and Conversations is more our vibe again. So we went ahead and did that. And once again, Tim O'Day hosting. And this time it was a conversation with Brett Iwan and Bill Farmer. Again, fantastic performance. Very exciting. Great stories. I'm not going to spoil any of these stories, but they told some of the best stories I think we've heard anywhere, especially on board this ship on this cruise.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, this was in the Lounge Evolution. It's adults only. It's very intimate feel to it. You're very, very close with these people who are, on stage talking, and they also got to be able to experience and taste the avocado margaritas that was given to them at the start of their interview, and it was just again, I think the word you use, vibe, was
It was cool.
very good use of that word because it was a cool vibe. It was fun, and seeing these people who have such phenomenal reverence and important roles in what they bring to Disney films. It was great.
Yeah. So we did that, and yeah, the vibe really cool. Great way to cap off the evening, in my opinion. We did get avocado margaritas that night and enjoyed listening to their conversation along with our cocktail, and it was just a great time and a great way to cap off that third day of our cruise. So let's get to day 4 now. It's another sea day. That means lots and lots of panels. And before I get to that, for those of you on YouTube, you can see pictures. We did get pictures. One is poorly lit, but it's us with Bill Farmer, and the other one was with Brett Ewan. We were able to get to connect with them and have some wonderful time talking with them and tell them how amazing we think they are.
Yeah, how much we appreciate what they do. Yeah.
When we did that thing, that was really cool. There's a lot of that. Okay, now, so next day kicked off early in the morning, 9 a.m. First thing, they were doing a showcase of Zootopia 2, kind of an inside look. It was hosted by Carrie Lau, who is the head of story for that movie. She did a great job going through kind of discussion of what basically the process of doing the story, and then giving us some sneak peeks into Zootopia 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's really always fun when I know I've been using the term behind the scenes, but it really is interesting to see what it takes to create a film like this, and comparing how now that they are using some digital features to be able to create this film, it still holds the core of animation, of the original hand-drawn animations. And so it was fun to be able to see how they incorporate that whole process of going from storyboard to actually filming.
And by the way, I mentioned she did a great job. Apparently, we found out that this was the first time she's ever done something like this. And you could tell she was a little nervous the first time for reasons. We made it, actually, there was 2 showings. We made it into the end of the second one and saw her, and she seemed much more at ease and did a great job. She did a great job in both, but it was even better for the second one. No spoilers for what we saw, other than I'm going to tell you it looked fantastic. Very excited for it. And there is a new land that's coming that I'm telling you, when we saw it, we're like, oh, this is a Disney park land. This can be made at any time, or maybe I don't know, part of a water park. I don't know, but it's phenomenal, and very excited to see this film.
Yeah, definitely. They have great, they have returning great characters. They have some new characters involved, and the storyline is really, I think, very rich of a storyline, and I can't wait to see it. They definitely they laid it out like a book report that and you just want to be able to now go in and know what that's
Yeah,
all
a
about.
lot of the characters you love from the first Zootopia, some new characters that I think you're going to fall in love with. Very, very excited to see. And even left with a cliffhanger for us, which I mean,
Yes.
the whole thing is a cliffhanger because we've only seen a couple scenes, but real cliffhanger as well. So very, very excited for that. Next thing we went to was a panel that was near and dear to our hearts because if you've listened to this show, you know we had on a while back, it was almost been a year now,
Wow.
we had on J.B. Kaufman, Ted Thomas, and Didier Guez to talk about Walt Disney and El Grupo in Latin America, the book that they put out for the Hyperion Historical Press. Well, they happened to be on board this ship, or at least Ted Thomas and Didier Guez were, to talk all about Walt Disney in Latin America. And we were able to reconnect with them, which was really, really nice because we'd seen them through Zoom and doing the show. We had not actually talked with them in person. We were able to talk with them for a short time in person on this one.
Yes, it was really special to be able to meet them in person, and they seemed very warm to us. That they did remember us and being on our show. But it was super interesting seeing this after the fact that we have the book, we interviewed them, but they were actually able to show some footage and some additional pictures that we had not seen before, and so it really made it an interesting presentation. And they are just filled with a lot of information that they uncovered so many treasures
including one of the treasures we learned about was something we had no idea existed. Apparently there's a long lost fourth caballero. Apparently his name was Miguel Maracas, and I think he was supposed to be Cuban. Nearly made it in, but for reasons they didn't add him in. But there was going to be a fourth caballero that we found out about. But so many interesting things during this discussion. And yes, we mentioned connections. Something may be coming from that very, very soon here to this show.
Yeah. There's another great book out, and again, these people are really amazing historians and getting actual factual firsthand information from either people involved in some of these things, whether it's Latin America or what we're going to be talking about with the True Life Adventure series. But they also talk to descendants, but they get actual photos, etc. So what they bring is very authentic, not made up, not speculated information. So
yeah,
great
really,
resources.
if you like Michelle's research, this is the kind of stuff that you're going to like. You should definitely check out these books, including one that we may be discussing here in the next few weeks.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that when we get to that point as well. So that panel, amazing, spectacular. Next panel, well, we were with another Disney legend because, and this was fun, it's the Disney Artists Academy. And we were being taught, you've gone to the Artist Academy or wherever you get to be taught to draw a character.
Right.
We were taught by none other than Disney legend Floyd Norman on how to draw several different characters. And joining him was also Roy P. Disney to kind of bring Roy P. He's definitely on the Roy Disney side of the family, not the Walt side of the family. He's more of an artist like us, but it was fun for them to kind of have this banter going as Floyd's drawing these amazing characters. And Roy's kind of drawing like us, but we got to draw as well. And that was a lot of fun. And just, again, hosted by Tim O'Day, just spectacular panel. And when are you going to get taught how to draw Goofy by Floyd Norman? We had to take advantage of that.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, again, it's a nice intimate setting, even though it was one of the restaurants. It was an Animator's Palette restaurant. And we were super close to Floyd, and your Goofy photo drawing was amazing.
Your Goofy was good too, and so was was it Chip? Your Chip?
Well, as I said, my Chip might have been cute, but it didn't look like Chip
I
or
thought
Dale.
It was great. It
was.
Maybe we'll take pictures of that. Do we still have those? Maybe we'll take pictures.
Yeah, I think
we'll take pictures of our genie and what was the other one that we did?
Oh gosh.
Anyway, Minnie. Those weren't as good. I think we were like we had gassed out after two characters. By third and fourth character, not as great. But maybe we'll take pictures of those and post those online as well. But that was just so much fun. And yes, we did get a picture with one Floyd Norman, a selfie with Floyd, which was really, really special and amazing. Just really
Right.
nice guy,
Yes.
and so amazingly talented.
Right. And he did share some as he was drawing, he shared some behind the scenes. Again, I'm using that term, but some of the history of working at Disney Studios, at Disney Animation Studios, including when Walt was there
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
how that was. And, I think one of the themes we heard by him and others is that Walt really did, yes, he was tough to work with, but that's because he was drawing out from people, bringing them out of their comfort zone and getting more, showing them that they had more to offer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
more skills.
So, and we were taught by Floyd Norman how to draw some of these amazing characters. But you know who else was taught by Floyd Norman on that day to draw those amazing characters? We told you he's been everywhere. Yes, Ron Clements was out there as well. I didn't mention he was on deck during the deck party wearing his neon headband, and he was such a gamer. He was everywhere. It was great. And we did get a picture with Ron Clements when we were in there as well, because we had to.
Right.
We had to. But I mean, we had 100 opportunities to do so because he was everywhere on the ship.
I know.
It was amazing.
Yes.
So that was so much fun. And then we went to another thing that was 70 years of Disneyland, which was kind of a game show based along with the Disney archives, where they kind of got a couple people. Michelle should have been up there, by the way. She got robbed, but they got a couple guests up there, and they were answering questions based on some things that involved the Disney archives, hosted by Ashley Eckstein again, and Becky Klein, who, as I mentioned earlier, is the head of the Disney archives now currently. And it was just a fun game show where they kind of went through these things. And near the end, we got to see a couple of actual displays. Some of it was just art on the wall or pictures on the wall. Some of it, we got to see the pencil bird, the actual pencil bird from the Alice in Wonderland attraction, and Fuzzball from Captain EO, which was really cool. And then afterwards, yes, we did come up and get a picture with Becky Klein, which we had to.
Yeah. It was a great way that they were doing it. They were doing some trivia questions. And the reason Tom says I was robbed, because they asked a question and the first person who raised their hands, and my hand did go up first. There were other people in the audience yelling who don't know me, and I don't know them, but they were yelling I was the right one. But they were looking a different direction. It was fine. But anyways, they would ask some multiple choice trivia questions of two contestants, but then they would also tell some additional information about what they were asking trivia questions about. So it was really informative as well. And it was, some things that you may not have ever heard before.
Yeah. And this was in the D Lounge. By the way, our seats weren't the best. That's part of the reason why Michelle didn't get picked, because at that point they realized how crazy the D Lounge was, and they were like seating you in areas. You couldn't just go around and try and pick your seat. You just like, this is your seat. You're going to sit here. So not the best seats, but we were able to, get through and watch this. And it was an entertaining show, interesting information, interesting displays from the Disney archives, which are always fascinating stuff. So it was really good.
Yeah. Things that you wouldn't be able to normally ever see in real life.
Yeah. So. And then, connected with Becky Klein. Couldn't do better than that. We'd already talked with Ashley. Enough of her. Actually, she probably had enough of us more than anything else. But we wanted to talk with Becky Klein as well. That night, our show was Broadway focused. It was 30 years of Disney on Broadway and beyond. Now, a lot of these performers we had seen before, but they're always fun and always great as they go through a lot of the classic. And basically, they go through a timeline of Disney on Broadway. And this time we had Ashley Brown, who's of course the original Mary Poppins. You may know her. Josh Strickland, who played the original Tarzan on Broadway. Kissy Simmons, who was Nala in The Lion King. And we already mentioned him, Rodney Ingram, who played Aladdin both on Broadway, but he was also Aladdin on the first touring group in Mexico. Right. He did a fantastic number where he did Proud of Your Boy, partially in English and partially in Spanish. Really great, but they all were phenomenal. Multiple standing ovations for them. They did Let It Go. I'm telling you, I brought the house down. They're like, we still have 2 more songs to do. It was great. It was an amazing show.
Yeah. I mean, again, really crazy, impressive talent for this show, and the audience really definitely got into it and felt everything. I love that Ashley Brown, she was posting on social media before, during, and after for the for the cruise, and it was fun that she was having such a great time
Mhm.
too. So I'm sure all the performers were like that, but I happened to be, catching a lot of her things. So
Yeah, we saw a lot of that going on during this. Is that people on board, not just the guests, the hosts, the celebrities, whatever you want to call them on board, they were enjoy having their best days, having their best life on board this cruise, just like the rest of us, and it was amazing to
right.
experience,
Yeah.
for sure. So got done with that show, which was phenomenal. Again, a lot of filming going on there. I was a little surprised how much filming was going on there. I don't know if anything's coming of that, but really
Okay.
cool. Then we went up to the Meridian Lounge, which we've done before. Michelle wanted to get another one of those La Cava del Tequila drinks. You got the Lily this time,
Right.
which
Yeah.
was a very refreshing drink. I tried some of it.
Yeah, yeah, it was good, and that was one of the ones well, several of these in the scavenger hunt because they were in lounges that were open till the evening. It's not like you could try something during the day. So this was one of those that okay, we had to make sure we timed it that we could fit it into our schedule in the evening to be able to try that because that was one of them that I had targeted that I wanted to try out.
Yeah, and it was delicious. I tried some of it. I
Mhm,
personally got something off the sommelier bin. It
mhm,
was a champagne. It
mhm.
was a Tanger champagne, which if you've never done the sommelier bin, especially if you like anything with bubbles, so prosecco or a champagne or something along those lines, a lot of times you can get those for a bargain price. Like this one goes for like $20 a glass. I got it for 14.
Right.
So it's really really worth your time. But the best part of being up there is we were having we're having a nice time just sitting there sipping our cocktails, having a little. They put some little nuts and like
Mhm.
Chex Mix, generic Chex Mix, whatever out there. And then we saw some people come in, and they were people we knew.
Right.
It was people that we had connected with a while back, and this was our first chance to reconnect with them. We haven't spoken to them since our Southern California trip in 2024. Sat down with them, this person and her mother, and we just had a really nice, like 30-minute conversation before we had to go to dinner. And just it was just really nice to reconnect.
It was. It really was, and, it was funny because we've been on the dream and the fantasy multiple times and never got to go to experience the Meridian. And this time we said before we even got on the cruise, we have to make a point to do it. So we did it twice this time, so that was good. But yeah, this was really special to be. It's a great atmosphere. There's a lot of windows, so you can see outside. It's got that nautical theme, like the more thinking of a captain's office where he has
Like maps
maps
and
and
yeah.
things in the darker woods and thing, and it just has that cool vibe to it. If you like sitting at the bar, uh, that's actually one of the most sought out seats, I think, in this because of the interactions with
Mhm.
the cast members who work on the bar. It's just a great place, and I think it was so fortunate of us to be in that setting when we got to connect with some
Right.
people.
And the reason we haven't gone as often because it's kind of almost a forgotten lounge because it kind of sits between Paolo and Remy aboard the Dream and the Fantasy. And so it's kind of up high and towards the back, and you may forget about it sometimes. It's oftentimes we're like, oh, we forgot to get the Meridian Lounge. We should have done that. But it's just such a nice, relaxing, chill vibe. We were talking about vibes a lot on this, and that was it. And yeah, we got up there a couple times and we were able to try a few things, nicest glasses of wine, nice cocktails,
Yeah, I
and
had a
nice more.
champagne.
It's all about cocktails and conversation apparently on
Right.
this sailing, and that's what we did on this one as well.
Yes. I mean, with all the activities and things going on and being busy all the time, it really was great to have that kind of a moment to just stop and reflect and just have a good
Mhm.
relaxing time enjoying friends.
Yeah, that was really, really special. We did have to break away to get to our dinner. We were at Royal Palace again that night. Another great dinner. I really enjoyed it. And then we just pretty much called it an evening. We've been busy day again. We've been going since early in the morning. We received our fourth night gift, which was those prints that you just talked
Mhm.
about earlier. We still have those that we can't wait to find a place for in our home. And then we just called it a night. Next day was Castaway Key. And yes, Castaway Key was decked out for the members. Yes, everything you love about Castaway Key, but they also hung up a banner like the members have claimed the island. It was just so nice. We got out there. We got a tip off the night before that there's a lot of adults aboard this cruise. Maybe don't go to Serenity Bay. Instead, do the family beach. It's going to be less crowded, and it paid off for us. We got a nice shady spot. Water was perfect. We swam for a long time and just enjoyed. And we did get another one of those La Cava del Tequila cocktails, which was only available on Castaway Key.
Yeah, that's what again made it all these things fun and special because you couldn't go into any lounge and get any of them. You had to go to the one location where each specific drink was being created and served. The weather was beautiful. The
To
water,
begin with.
yeah, yes, the water temperature was perfect. It was, it wasn't frigid to get in, but it wasn't so hot that you couldn't enjoy it. And like Tom mentioned, the family beach wasn't that crowded, so it really made for a fun time that we, had there on Disney's private island. It
Right.
was
So we spent
awesome.
a few hours out there really enjoying it. Then we decided, it's about time to head back. And luckily we did at the time we did, because a rainstorm moved through. It basically washed out the afternoon. So anybody who was out there after like 1 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock, they were sprinting back to the ship, or very soggy when they came back to the ship. But we had come back because we wanted to see Fantastic Four First Steps, because we had not seen that yet. And the showings were not really working with our schedule. They were either really late at night, or there were when panels were going on or whatever, but there was one going on in the middle of the day. So we got back and saw Fantastic Four. Michelle, did you enjoy Fantastic
I
Four First
really
Steps?
enjoyed Fantastic Four. I thought it was a great movie. I'm not saying it's, going to win a lot of awards for being deep or anything like that, but it was super entertaining. I love the characters in that. I wasn't familiar with the Fantastic Four characters. I thought they did a great job in this film of recapping how they became who they are. Again, this is one of those, it's a family style of storyline. The four are family together, and it's got a lot of heartwarming and cute parts to it as well.
I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. One of my favorite, more recent Marvel movies
Mhm.
for sure. Can't wait to see it again when we get the opportunity to do so. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Glad we were made, because we were concerned. We're like, we're going to go this entire cruise and not get to see this movie that we really, really wanted to see on board the ship. Yeah. So, but it ended up working out, and that was great. Especially ended up working out when the rain came. We're like, oh,
Yes.
good. Glad we left the beach when we did, because we would have been soaked. But then we did go up and we went and got another one of those drinks. Another one of those espresso La Cava martinis as well. Enjoyed that at Cove Cafe. Then it was a day of movies, apparently, because the next thing we got the opportunity to do, which was really special aboard this cruise, is we got an early screening of Freakier Friday. Yes, about only like 2 days before it actually came out in theaters, but we got to see it a little early and really, really had a fun time. It was like the perfect place. People who are ready to see this film, people who love Disney, on this amazing Disney cruise. So it was the perfect setting. But seeing that, what did you think of Freakier Friday, Michelle?
Well, I really loved it. But let me just also preface that typically on a Disney cruise, if something is coming out in the theaters at the same time you're on the cruise, they will release it on the same day it's released to the public. This was really special, the fact that they did a pre-screening, because the film actually didn't show to the public until after our cruise was over. So that was amazing that they did that for us, and obviously, made sure that we weren't recording or anything like that. But it is a great film in terms of entertaining and enjoyable. Love those characters. They had some new characters on, and even when I was watching it, I was like, okay, I know these two new characters are going to be involved in a switch, but how is that going to happen and stuff? And it was so creative. I don't want to give any spoilers. All I can say is I love Jamie Lee Curtis. She is such a talent and such a hoot, and just she was amazing in this film.
She was phenomenal. Also, shout out Lindsay Lohan.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So good seeing her come back and do something amazing like this film. It's great. It's so funny. It had Michelle in tears. She was laughing so hard.
Right.
It's also very heartwarming. There were tears because it's very heartwarming as well. Again, another movie. It was two movies about family and seeing things eye to eye. I guess to a goofy reference. It was amazing. I give it a solid about 8.5 out of 10. Just for pure fun, though, I give it a 10 out of 10. But as just a film, 8.5 out of 10. Fun, 10 out of 10. Go see it. Go see this movie, especially if you liked the original Freaky Friday. There are a lot of Easter eggs and stuff and cameos and things that you may notice from the original film as well. Fun movie.
Yeah, and if you didn't see the original one, it doesn't deter from watching this one. You get an understanding. I mean, especially if you know in the original one, that what happened was that they swapped. So you already know that going in, but it really is creative on what they did here. And as Tom mentioned, the Easter eggs. But don't worry, if you didn't see it, the original one, this one is still very fun.
Yeah, really is. Highly recommended. We really enjoyed the heck out of that movie.
And it was amazing how many people they did bring back,
Yeah.
though, from the original
Crazy
one.
good.
Yes.
It's really, really good. Go see it. Go see, even if you're thinking
Yeah.
you shouldn't go see it, I recommend you go see it for sure. We did receive our 5th day gift that day. It was Bluetooth speakers, by the way. Team to Coco, the member cruise Coco Bluetooth speakers. I think I forgot to mention our other gift, which was it was a really plush beach towel in a bag and everything else. Amazing. We went to dinner that night. Was Animator's Palette. We did have a technical issue though. That was supposed to be the Crush night where it's talk with Crush basically. If you've been in Animator's Palette, they do that. It wasn't going on. Something went wrong. We talked to the head waiter about it, and he's like, "Yeah, we tried our hardest, we couldn't do it." So didn't detract from the evening. We were just a little surprised at first when there was nothing going on in there, but it wasn't bad. But we got our packing done, got our bags out, sat in, relaxed, had a little late night snack, and called it a day. And because next day was really going to be very early, because unfortunately the next day was our disembarkation day. And it is disembarkation day. It's always a little bit of craziness. You know how disembarkation days go, but it went fine. And it was fun to see, like, you ran into Camilla Lara again.
He was
on
behind
our way
me in
out.
line on the
I
way
saw
out.
Ron Clements, right? Ron Clements was, I swear, there was 3 hours that went by that I didn't see Ron Clements somewhere. I don't know where it was when I was asleep at night. He was there right next to us as we were going. It was amazing, but okay. Sad day to be disembarking this ship, but filled with memories. So many spectacular things that we got to enjoy aboard our very first Disney Vacation Club member cruise, Michelle.
Yeah, I mean, it really was special, and it definitely was beyond what I had ever anticipated it would be. Just loved it. Yes, as sad as it was to disembark, in some regards, it was like, okay, I think we're spent because we had so many highs and so much fun and so much energy all around. It was, something like you said, we knew we were bringing great memories as we disembarked. So
yeah, so many things, and so many things that might possibly extend to something with the show. But even if they don't, so many fantastic things that we'll always think about and always be core memories for us from this cruise. Just can't say enough about it. So should you do a Disney Vacation Club member cruise, if you have the opportunity, Michelle, what would you suggest to our listeners?
I would say yes, for sure. And I would go along with what people have said, is you do need to plan to bring something extra to carry all the gifts away from you as you leave, because they are very generous and they aren't just little trinkets. They are really great gifts, and so much amazing. I mean, I think, we've gone to things like Comic-Con and MegaCon, and I think this definitely rivaled any of those experiences by seeing so many celebrities that are involved with things that we're very well aware of and fans of.
Yeah, we talked about it because we're going to Destination D23 in just about 3 weeks now. We talked about the last Destination D23 and how intimate that felt, and it felt a little bit different than the giant D23 Expo, which we've also attended. This was even that more to this intimate extent. Like, it was just amazing that we were mingling with all these people, that we were in these rooms and they're watching each other and enjoying each other and having a great time with one another, and the guests. It was phenomenal. Definitely recommend you do it if you get the opportunity, for sure. By the way, there is a DVC member cruise for 2026 on sale right now. I don't think we're going to make this one. It just doesn't work with us scheduling wise, but it's tempting. It's tempting. It's a Northern European 7-night sailing on the Disney Dream, just like this one. It's out of Southampton, England. Stops in Copenhagen, another stop in Denmark and in Norway. Plus, there's 3 sea days for great panels like these. And every category outside of concierge still has rooms available. So if you'd like to think about going on this, if you're a member, you can book. If you know a member, you can convince them to book for you, then they can do it as well. But I definitely suggest you look into it. Still waiting on 2027. I think if it's something we can do, we will definitely be aboard the DVC member cruise in 2027.
Right. Yeah. And, like Tom mentioned, obviously, if you're a DVC member, you have access to book it. But you can also book for, I think, up to 3 or 4 other cabins. So if you have other friends or family that want to go with you, you can also include them. You just have to be the primary person booking them.
Yeah. So looking forward to hearing what comes out when they decide on the 2027 one, to find out if we can make that one. Still would love, if we could figure it out, we'd love to make this Northern European one, because one, it stops that I'd love to check out. But 2, also, it's a Disney Vacation member cruise. They're not cheap. Just gonna tell you that right now. They're not cheap. It's not going to be on the baseline of Disney cruises. But again, the gifts, the memories, it's going to pay off in so many different ways. Yes, thank goodness they had that bag. We were able to walk out with most of our gifts in those bags that they provided for us, but we were carrying other things as well.
I had brought 2 other extra. They weren't suitcases. They were bags. They were, soft-sided bags that.
Thank goodness we weren't flying, because that would have been a little trickier. But it worked out. When they say bring an extra bag, bring an extra bag.
Well, and the other thing that's about these gifts is they don't give 1 per room. They give 1 per person in the room. So if you have 3 or 4 people in your room, you're going to get 3 or 4 of everything. We got 2 of everything. That was great. But
plus, there's other opportunities to get things like the hat, like the piece of art that I got, from winning the raffle. There's more that's involved than just the gifts of just giving you as you're on board. So, but anyway, we've run long, but we've made it. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. That was our first ever Disney Vacation Club member cruise recap.